Ois Daled. So the Rebbe discussed that when the Adam Rishon was created, which was on Rosh Hashanah, at that point, we were able to mamshir through creation of Adam, the revelation of Atzmus Eirein Sof, all the ways into this Olam Hazeh. That was Adam. That was the novelty. And the Rebbe is going to discuss now where do Yidden have the koyach, and he brings out two inyonim. Where do they have the koyach to mamshir the bechinas atzmus, and how do they have the koyach to bring it down also into this world? And the koyach from atzmus, the Rebbe is going to explain, comes from the neshama, because the neshama is connected to the atzmus, as the Rebbe will explain ba'arichus, and the koyach to bring mamshich in the world is because when Yidden are mamshich their etzem haneshama into the guf, that brings down atzmus into the world, as the Rebbe will explain. Dalit. V'yashloimar, we can say shahakoyach sheyesh b'Yisrael lahamshich gilu b'chinazu, that the power that the Yidden have to bring down this revelation of this level, and the Rebbe is talking about the level of Atzmos. How do we bring it down? Humitzad shoydesh nishmosim. That is because the root of the soul of the Yidden, and that aligns with the fact that we're talking about Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, it was the neshama that came to the body. The body itself was created already on Yom Rishon, Ofor min ha'adam. Shari Briyas Odom b'Yom Shishi l'Maisa Bereishis. When we say man was created on the sixth day of the act of creation, which is Rosh Hashanah, he is Sha'oz Hoyo Vayipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chaim. That at that point it was that he blew in his nostril that soul of life. So that's specifically the neshama, Mashenkin Gufo Shel Odom Harishon, as opposed to the body of the first man, Odom Harishon, Shenoitzer Me'ofor Min Ha'adama. He was created, he was formed from the earth, from the ground. Shenivro Kvar Kinal B'Yom Harishon. As said before, this was already created, everything. Es Hashemayim ve'es Haaretz v'chol, so everything was created on the day one, on Yom Harishon. So when we talk about the mile of Rosh Hashanah, we're talking about the neshama. We're talking about v'yipach ba'apov nishmas chaim. That took place when we say Adam Rishon was created. We mean when the neshama went into the body, and because of the neshama, they have this koyach to bring down atzmos. How so? Well, the idea is the hine kesiv vayipach ba'apov nishmas chaim. So the pasuk says he blew into his nostrils, to Adam Harish's nostrils. Hashem blew in a soul of life. Mavai Rabbeinu Hazokin, and the Alter Rebbe explains right in the beginning of the Tanya in second Perek Beis, K'meshukosu b'Zoyar, as the Zoyar says, man de nofach mitoiche nofach, that a person who blows, you blow from the inside. When you have to blow, when you speak, it's an external effort, but when it's a blow, you have to put an energy from the inside. Umefarish, and he explains the Zoyar what it means, betoiche yusei, umipnimi yusei, from the inside and from his inner. So what he's blowing to the Nishmas Chayim in the Apov comes from the Eberster's Toichius Upnimius, which means Hainu, the Shoyresh HaNeshama, Ubatzmusa Yizborich, the root of the Neshama is in Atzmus. That's the inside. Now, okay, so that's from the Pasuk, from the Zohar, Vayipach Ba'apov, Metoichen Nafach. But the Alter Rebbe seems to qualify right away in Tanya, and he says that it comes from the Moyach. The Moyach is already a level of the Neshama, which is already Begilui. So, Bagam Shemam Shirshama, even though the Alter Rebbe continues there in Perek Beis, In Tanya, the K'moi Shaben Nimshach Mimoyacha'av. Just like a son extends, comes from the brain of the father. Kach kavayochel nishmas kol ish Yisrael. Likewise, so to speak, the soul of every Jewish person. Nim shechomim machshavte v'chochmosi yizbarach extends from Hashem's thought and wisdom, blessed wisdom. So that means that we're attributing the source of the neshama of every Jew from the level of chokhmah, machshav, and chokhmah. And here we're saying that it's from the Atzmus much higher. Explains the Rebbe, that's already the neshama coming from chokhmah. That's already the way the neshama is nimshach, has extended and descended to that level. But its origination is actually from the Pnimius, from the Atzmus. This, that the neshama is in the level of Hashem's thought and wisdom and chokhmah, blessed wisdom. That's the way it's already come at extent drawn down. Avol shorsho ha'amiti, but its true root meaning the ultimate, not the way it comes b'hamshocha. Its real root hu batzmusa yizborich. It's in his blessed atzmus, and this is actually very evident from the mashal from a son and a father. The son many times outdoes, and the intellect of the son can be greater than the intellect of the father, because the son doesn't just get from the koiches hageluyim, he gets from the essence of the father, and the essence of the father could be a lot higher than it comes out in the giluyim, and that's why the son's level could be higher. The Rebbe explains, just as it's in the example from a father and a son, the shoyresh haben hu ma'atzmus ha'av mamish shelamayla mibchines hagiluyim da'av. The root of the son is the actual essence of the father, which is higher than the revelation of the father. The revelation of the father would be his emotion, his intellect. Those are already the revealed, but the root of the son is not in the revealed parts of the father's koiches, but in the essence. That's why it's possible for it to be that the power of the son can be stronger or more beautiful than the power of the father. That the son has a greater level, a higher level than the father's level of intellect, emotion, whatever it is. Since the reason, how could it be better? Because Itaka doesn't come from the revealed. The true source is the etzem nefesh ha'av, in the essence of the soul of the father. Ube'etzem nafsh, in the essence of the soul of the father. There the father is wholesome. He's complete in all of his powers, so he has much greater powers than it comes out in the open. So therefore, the son that derives from the essence of the father can get from the higher level. So just like it's in the Moshul Begashmis, by a father and a son, similar, it's also by the souls of Yid, which Bonim Atem Lavaya Leketa. Yidden are considered to be sons to God your God. We are children. Shashor Shamhu Bats Musay Yizborech. The root of the Yidden is in the blessed Atzmus of the Eberster. Bats Musay Yizborech. And therefore, which is higher than the Gilui. So even though it says in the in Tanya that it comes from the Moyach, but it comes from the essence of the Father. Higher than the level of Gilui, which is the level of Chokhmah. And that's why in the Yidden, the sons of the Eberster, there's an advantage, so to speak, over the revelations of above. So what comes out Giluyim Ilmaila, the level of Chochma and the various different Giluyim, all Giluyim. And as the Rebbe is going to say in a minute, not only in Giluyim, Soiviv Kolalmim, Malu Kolalmim, Yidden are in the essence, even higher than that. Bedugmas Yofa Koicha Ben Bekoicha Av. Similar that the power of the son is more beautiful than the power of the father. So the father's Giluyim, whatever they are, is not a match to the power that the son has, which is greater than the Giluyim from the father. Okay, Mamer Azal, this is also noted in the saying of our sages of blessed memory that the Eibishter says that the Torah is by the Yidden, and the Yidden have to decide the halacha. And when the Yidden say the halacha, even though it was against what the Kuchabrichu says, Kuchabrichu Chayich v'Omar, the Eibishter smiles and he says, Natzchuni bonei Natzchuni, that my children, more about Metziah, the famous discussion, that my children, they have been victorious. They have been victorious. So which means, what does it mean we are victorious over Kuchabrichu? Because Kuchabrichu is the level of Soivav Mamale. And the Yidden are in Atzmus. Kuchabrichu hu oirin sof. Kuchabrichu, that's the infinite light, K'moshe bo b'hamshocha, b'oifen the Kodesh Baruch. That's the infinite light as it comes down, drawn down in a way of Kodesh Baruch. Kucha Brichu, Kodesh Baruch. Kodesh is removed, distinct, and Baruch is drawn down, which is the two levels of Segev Mamale. Kodesh hu Segev Kolalmim. Kodesh, separate, distinct, holy. That's the level of surrounding the world of the Hamshacha Ein Sof. Shu Kodesh hu Muvdal Meishtalshlus, which is holy. It is distinct and separate from Ishtalshalus. Baruch, Meloshem Bracha V'Hamshacha, and Baruch comes from the language of drawing down, to bring down. Hu K'moishe Nimshach Liyis Memalu Kol Almim. That's as it comes down to be filling the world. Umikivon. So we're saying over here, Kuchabrichu Chayich, not Schunig. We're higher than Kuchabrichu. We're victorious. Umikivon Shesherish Haneshames. Since the root of the neshama is in the blessed Atzmos, which is even higher than Kodesh, higher than Sefer Kolamim. That's why the level Kuchabrichu smiles. My sons were victorious because they come from a higher level. Now, V'inyan Zeh, this idea of Nitzochin, that the Yidden are victorious, Shayich b'miyuchad l'Rosh Hashanah, especially Rosh Hashanah, that the Yidden make the decision. The Eibishter looks to the Yidden, Natzchuni Bonai, that they should make the decision even more than the decision can be made through the level of Kuchabrichu. But there, the sages of us memory say, when the angels that serve gather before Hashem, loymar to say, when is Rosh Hashanah? HaKadosh Baruch Hu Omer lahem, what does Hashem say to them? Li matem shoydim, why are you asking me? Me and you, let's go to the court below. See when they made Rosh Chodesh, when they were Mekadesh the moon, when we'll know when the Rosh Chodesh is. So you see the idea of Natzchoni. Especially according to the teaching of the Rav Magid. He explains the saying of our sages. Yisrael olu b'machshava. Yisrael olu b'machshava means that the Yidden went up in the machshava, which is from the Bereshis Rabbah. That, what does it mean, olu b'machshava? Not they just went up. Within machshava itself says the Rav Magid that they went up in the highest level, and he gives the example. How could it be olu b'machshava if there was no Yidden yet? It was before the Eibishter created the Yidden. So how is olu machshava? So he says that Magid explains Shukemosh Laben Shetzurosei Hakuko b'machshava. It's like a son whose shape, the image of the son, is engraved in the thought of the father. So when we're saying olu b'machshava, we are in the engraved sort of in the thought of the Eberster. Now, question is, over here, there's a difference. By the Moshul, by us, there has to be a son first in order for that son to be engraved in the father's mind. Before the son was created, you can't have it in the father's mind. But by the Eberster, it works differently. By humans, it only applies after the son was born, then he can be in his father's mind. As opposed to by the blessed Hashem. Even prior to the Yidden being born into creation, their shape has been already engraved in Hashem's thought. So in Hashem's machshava, there was the Bnei Yisrael, there was the Neshamas Yisrael. Ki etzla yizborech ha'over v'ha'asid echad. So Abish doesn't have the limitation that's not yet born, like by human. By the Abish, the past and the future is one. So what happens in the future is also in the present, in the past. So it means that the Yidden are on the level of Machshava. So from this, it's even more understood. The Shoirish HaNeshomes, Bonim Atim Hashem Elokeichem. That the root of the neshama, because we're at bonim, and we're saying that the bonim is engraved in the father's brain even before they were created. But the Eibishter, that's shaychas, because over and over is together. Who batzmusi is baruch is an atzmus. So the Rebbe basically says here in Nois Dalid that why could the Yidden bring down the level of atzmus into the world? Because the Yidden are connected with atzmus, and the Zohar says, the Rebbe says that even though in Tanya it says the level of Chochmah, Machshava, but still it is in the level of Atzmos because that's the way it's Nimshach, it comes Merchab, but in essence is much higher. As physically we see Yova Koyach HaBen, Koyach HaAb, it taps in, it comes even from the essence of the father, much more than the Koyach HaGluyim. So the Yidden are on a higher level than even the Gluyim of Sefer Kulalmim, Malik Kulalmim, because they're the Bechinas Ben. They come from the level of Atzmus, especially according to the Rava Magid, that their Tzura has been nechkak in the level of Machshav Elyon. And therefore, this is a level that the Yidden are connected to Atzmus, and that's why they can bring down the level of Atzmus. And now the Rebbe is going to concentrate on the language that the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that you have to blow. Blow means that it comes from the inside with force. The Rebbe is going to explain, because we're talking about such a high level, which is totally not inexistent. In order to get it, you have to blow it stronger. The Rebbe brings the difference between blowing on a coal, which has the fire outside it, it's don't have to blow it so strong, and blowing on or getting fire from a tzura chalomish, because it's so much further away, it takes more effort to get it out of there. So we can say, this is what the Alter Rebbe writes, when he talks about that he blew in his nostril the soul of life, this is, so to speak, blowing with strength, with effort. The reason why there needs to be blown with force, because the root of the neshama is in such a level which is called hidden in essence, helam ha'atzmi, which means hidden essence means helam she'enu b'metzias. It's so hidden, it's so obscure, it's non-existence. That's the extent of non-existence. And when you try to bring something from a place which is helam she'enu b'metzias, helam ha'atzmi, which is not in existence, to bring something down from such a level, that comes through effort and trouble to bring it down. For it's known, there's a difference. If you're trying to draw down from a helam which is in existence, you don't need such efforts such trouble to bring it out. If you have a flame which is tied to the coal, since that even while it's in the coal, it's still a entity of fire. The only thing is it's not revealed, it's hidden. It's a metzias, but it's a helem shebemetzias. It's not visible on the outside. Helem sheyeshne b'metzias, a helem which is in existence. That's why to get the flame from the coal, that's without effort, without hard work. It's pretty easy to get the fire from the coal to come outside. As opposed to when you draw out from the level of a helem which is not in existence, that's through effort and trouble. And that will be an example from taking fire from a stone of chalomish, of the tzura chalomish. The liyoisa a shebetzur, who bechinas helem she'enoi b'metzias, since the fire which is in the tzur is in a level of hidden, which is not exist. There's no fire in the rock, in the flintstone. It's just a rock, but it's hidden there. But it's no mitzias of fire yet. L'chein, efsher lahoitzi mimenu eish kima de'akot. The only way to take out, you can't take out any fire only by banging it. B'tircha v'yigia davke, by trouble and effort davke. Kavavur calls it bedarucha bedrusha kvet kedushan marshra nishma seiden, as explained at length the memorim of the Rebbe Rashab nishma seiden. V'zeu mashekosub admur hazokin. This is what the Alter Rebbe writes. Shabayishpach ba'apom nishmas chayim ubibchinas neficha bekoyach. That by Yipach ba'apom nishmas chayim, when the pasuk says the Eibishter blew into Adam Arish, the soul of life, it's blowing with effort. Because the root of the neshamas of the souls are in a level of hidden which is not in existence. It's in a level of tzur. It's like the flintstone. It's totally not existent yet. Takes an effort, but koyach, to pull it out of there, the neshama. This idea of tzur, that it's hidden, as explained in Likutei Torah, B'Inyan Tshuva, it talks over there in the idea of teshuvah. It says, "V'haruach toshuv el holikim asher nesana." The spirit needs to return to the level of elikim that gave the neshama. You're bringing it back to the level of elikim that gave it. So it says over there, the bechinas elikim asher nesana shu shoyrish haneshama. This level of elikim that elikim gave it, elikim asher nesana, that's the root of the neshama, comes from elikim that gave it. And it was not just given, but it was given nos nono the cholanos ma'yofanos, meaning he gave it in a generous way. So he says, "Hu bechinas tzur." That is the level. It says in Likutei Torah, that level of the neshama, shenesana, that's the level of tzur. So you see the idea of tzur being like a flintstone in which you have to take it out b'koyach. And therefore, the way we bring it from there is through blowing with effort, with force. Since, so this all proved where we come from. We come from Atzmus, and that's why there's an aficha b'koyach. You have to blow strong, get it out from that sur, from the level of a likima shenesana, to bring it out. But nevertheless, we're come from the Ein Sof Atzmus. The Shoyrish Neshamas Yisrael, since the root of the souls of the Yidden is in the blessed Atzmus. That's why they have the ability to draw down into the world the revelation of the essence of the Ein Sof, because they are connected to the Atzvus Ein Sof, they can bring down Ein Sof. So this explains how the Yidden have the Kayach. We said they bring it down from Atzmus, and the Rebbe explained that they're connected to Atzmus, that's why they can bring it out. Now in Oisvav, the Rebbe is going to explain, but how do they bring it down into the world? And the Rebbe explains, because when they bring it down, their level of the essence of the neshama revealed in their body, in their guf, that brings about the gilu atzmus into olam. Vav. B'nei haniskar le'il, what mentioned before in the two oisius, dal and hey, ubiur al zeh shebekoichem shel Yisrael lahamshel gilu atzmus enisof. That explains why Yidden have the power to draw down the revelation of the atzmus enisof. Omnom zeh shemamshichim gilu zeh ba'olam. But the fact, how they bring it down into the world? They take atzmus and bring it down. Where does that koich come from? Chibur b'chinas zeh in b'chinas koich. That really would mean the level of zeh, the level of higher, with the level of koi, with the level of such. The difference, like we said before, between Moshe Rabbeinu and the Nevi'im, the zeh and koi, that this is a much higher level. How do we connect zeh and koi to bring the essence, the atzmos, into the world, into olam? Yesh loymar, the Rebbe says, we can say, Rebbe quotes from the Likutei Torah, says the zeh and koi. Yesh loymar, so, that is through revealing their soul and their body. That's, if we bring down the neshama and the body, that brings down atzmus in the world. In a gufa adam, the human body offer min ha'adama. That was created. That's chofhei, the koi chofhei teva. That's creation of the world. Zeh, as we're saying, Zeh Hayom Techilas Masecha, the Kohen Zeh, the Chofhei with the Zeh, bring down the guf to the body. Vaidei shepoyel. V'nin haguf ha'odom shenoitzem afer min adoma shnivra b'chofhei belu. The person's body that was created from the dirt of the ground, which is koi. Elu chofhei elu, v'b'chinas koi, that's koi. By impacting the revelation of godliness in his body, that way he draws down revelation of godliness in the world. The person brings down Gila Lakus in his body, that brings down Gila Lakus in the world. The person is a microcosm of the world. You bring down the Gila Lakus in your body from your soul, that brings down atzmus into the world. The measure which a person measures, that's the way to measure him. If the person is doing that, that's the way Hashem comes down also in the world. Through the person drawing down the revelation of the level of Zeh in the level of Koi by himself and in himself. That way you bring down the level of Zeh also in the Koi of the whole world. As Adam Harishon, Adam Harishon actually did it. He bring the Koi into the world. He said to all of the world, Boyu v'nishtachave, let's go and let's bow down. Let's prostrate and bow and bend our knees before Hashem, our Maker. He's not telling them what they should do. He's saying, let's together, we'll do it too. He did it through his mud. That's why he creates it in creation. By joining creation, by saying, I'm doing it, we'll do it together. The fact that he can impact that subjugation, all of creation, which is outside of him, that's through the impact of bittul by himself. Ukipirush, like we're saying, he's not saying to them, you. He's saying nishtachaveh, v'lo yishtachaveh. He doesn't say, you bow. Let's bow. He's going to start. We'll do it together. Basically, through the person's bittul, he creates a bittul in all of creation, which is outside of it. Hainu shegam hu atzma yishtachva, that he also is going to bow v'yiyeh b'bittul, and he's going to be in that level of subjugation. So the Rebbe is going to explain now that the world follows the human being. The godliness in the world follows the person's bringing godliness in his body. To explain this idea, that we're saying that the revelation of godliness in the world comes by first bringing down the Hamshocha in the human body. Hine Shem Odom hu al Shem Adam le'elyon. The name a person is called Odom because I am compared, because he's compared to the above. Adam comes from Adam. I'm compared. He's compared to the Supreme. He's compared to Hashem. Yesh loymar b'zeu b'nishmas ha'odom v'gam b'guf ha'odom. This comparison that is Adam le'elyon is both by the soul of man and also by the body of man. That it's also compared le'elyon. Like the pasuk says, "Nas odom goimer kidmusenu." Let us make a man which would be in our image. So this is also applying to the body. Just as the body of Adam Rishon was created by the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, similarly, as it pertains to the body, every Jewish body is created by Hashem, is a created of Hashem's hands. Share'atem kruyim Adam. Why are we? You are called Adam. Why are we called Adam? Al Shem Adam Harishon Kinal, because of the first man. He was called Adam, and that's why we're called Adam. So what does it mean that each and every body of the Yidden is called Adam? Because they're compared le'elyon, both bein mitzad nishmosei, both from his soul perspective, bein mitzad gufi, also the body. Each one is Adam le'elyon. U'inyan nitzchi she'ein bo shinui. That is something eternal. There's no change. A Yid is always has that level of Adam le'elyon. He's always Adam, and always compared to Adam Harishon, and we're always compared to Adam le'elyon from our soul and body. And this is always this is what it means. You shall be to me a nation of priests and a holy nation. What is these two aspects? Mamlechas kohanim v'goy kodesh. One is the soul, mamlechas kohanim, and goy kodesh is the body. There's lemesh mamlechas kohanim koyal aneshama. A nation of priests that goes on the soul. That's the Adam le'elyon by the soul of goy kodesh koyal aguf. Ubishneim that goes on the body. Ubishneim nemar va'atem tiyu li. You should be to me. So we're saying that this will be li, the guf and the body will be always kohanim and goy kodesh. If it says li, says the Medrash Vikra Rabbo, it is not ever stop. So that means that they have this idea continuously that we are this is always. That's why through the service of man, lahamshich gilui elokus begufay, to bring down godliness in his body, nimshach al yedei zeh gilu elokus gam ba'olam. Through that, we bring down the revelation of godliness also in the world. So the Rebbe explained that every Yid all the time has this special koyach to bring down through his avodah the zeh in the koi, to bring down the neshama to the body, and that way he also brings it down in the world, just as Adam Rishon brought it down into the world. And the Rebbe explained that a Yid is named after Adam, named Adam Rishon, and Adam Adam Elyon, and this is all the power that Adam Rishon had also to bring down, because he was created by Hashem, and we have the power to bring down the highest of levels, and we bring it down into the world when we bring it down into our neshama, and this stands forever, and that's why all the time a Yid has the avodah, the ability to bring down Gilul Lakus in the world through bringing down the Gilul Lakus in his neshama. Zayin. V'zeu zeh hayoyim Techilas Masecha. And this is what we say. This is the day of the beginning of your action, which is Rosh Hashanah. Ki choik li Yisrael hu mishpat l'kayakov. Because this is a choik for Yidden and a judgment for Yaakov. So the milas ki, when I say because, ki pirusha nisinas tam al masha kodim. This is giving the reason, the beginning of the pasuk. Loimar say zeh hayoim Techilas Masecha. This is zeh, the level of zeh, that is the day that on this day is revealed, is the beginning of the action when it comes down into the world. Dehine hachibur de zeh v'koyshe ba'odom. That connection that takes from the zeh and the koi by the person, through which he also draws down the level of zeh in the level of the world. That's through his service of study of Torah and service of mitzvahs. That is the level of Torah or mitzvahs. Torah or mitzvahs brings about that the zeh should be begilui, hayom, and that's the Techilas Masecha. The occupation of Torah, that is mainly connected to the soul, which is the level of zeh. And the observance of mitzvahs which have been dressed up in physical matters, that has mainly a connection to the sorting out and refining of the body. So the pasuk says, the zeh and the koi, the Torah zeh koi mitzvahs. Until they become one thing, the Torah and the mitzvahs become one. Each one supports the other. The Torah helps us with the mitzvahs, and the mitzvahs helps us with the Torah. As the Rebbe brings down in the footnote from Igeres HaKodesh, Simon Hey, and therefore, Nasa Achibud Zeim Koi, that brings the Zeh and the Koi together. That's the Chok, the Yisrael Umishpat, and the mitzvahs. Chok Koi La Torah. Chok Li Yisrael, that's Torah. Mishpat goes on the mitzvahs. Kimavur B'kut Torah. Zeu Chok Li Yisrael Gomer Mishpat Li Yaakov. That's why we say the Chok is Li Yisrael. The Torah Chok, that's for Yidden. And the Mishpat is Lelekei Yaakov. The Torah Chok Omer Yisrael. Over mitzvahs Mishpat, he says Yaakov. Over there it says Chok Li Yisrael, and then it says Yaakov. Ki Torah hi avono v'asoga. Torah is understanding and grasping. L'chein shayches Li Yisrael, Oisius lirosh. That's why it's chok li Yisrael is lirosh. O mitzvahs shekiyum v'koich ha'maiser shel adam. The mitzvahs whose fulfillment is with the power of action of the person. Shayeches li Yaakov meloshen ekev. That's connected to Yaakov meloshen ekev. So chok Torah is Yisrael, and mishpat is Yaakov. The gam Yaakov, an additional is Yaakov meloshen ekev, which shem v'yodei achezes ba'akev. That it's holding on to the heel. So the heel is the lowest, mekoyach hamaisa, which is akev, and also his hand is holding on ba'akev. I guess the thing is also yodoi, and the hand, which is also represents the koyach hamaisa. Heel means the lowest, is maisa is the lowest measured next to the machshava, the emotion and the intellect. That's the action, and also yodoi echezes. The pasuk says his hand is holding on level of action. Yesh loymar. We can say shezeu shamitzvus nislapshu b'dvorim gashmim doilam hazeh atachten. That's why mitzvahs were dressed up in physical matters of this low world. There's nothing lower than it because it's all the Akev, it's the Yaakov, and that's the level of Maisa to bring down the Torah, the Zeh in the Koi, in the Akev, into Maisa. Zo Zeh Hayom Techilas Masecha Chulu. This is the meaning of the pasuk now. This is the beginning of Maisa because the chok for Yisrael and the mishpat l'kei the chok l'Yisrael mishpat l'Yaakov hu nesinas tam. Chok l'Yisrael mishpat l'Yaakov is the giving of the reason. What is the reason that Zeh Hayom Techilas Masecha, which means that the hamshochas gilui atzmus oirins of the zeh ba'olam masecha, that the zeh hayoim should go down in masecha. It comes down in action, which is Rosh Hashanah in the olam. Through the person that was created. Zeh the Masecha is through Hayom, through the person today, which is the day of creation of Adam Rishon. That's through Chok L'Zom Mishlo Yaakov, Limud HaTorah V'Kiyam Mitzvahs. Study of Torah and Kiyam Mitzvahs. That's the Yisrael, that's the Yaakov, and that's the reason we bring down the Zeh into this world. That is the Hayom of the day of the 25th, the day of Rosh Hashanah, which Adam Rishon was created. And that's what he brings down into the Torah, into the mitzvahs, into the both levels, the Zen, the Koi, which brings down the Gila Atzmus into the world.